I mean, search engine is going to remain important for the short run, but obviously you always, as a marketer, you always need to keep an eye on where your audiences are. So if your audiences are moving to TikTok, then you have to follow them there. If your audiences are moving to AI, then you have to move there to follow them, because that's where you're going to be able to influence them. So while keeping everything that we were doing in terms of search engine marketing or search engine optimization, we have sort of taken it to a level further, because what we have noticed is that on TikTok people have a specific behavior. So what I like to call this as a let's have a platform native approach. So for example, on TikTok people the platform's approach is more around how many people completes a video viewing. This is different from Instagram, where it's more about the first couple of seconds of viewing. That is what is prioritized by platform. So we need to have content that can be modified, can adapt it for each platform's specific native use. I mean, YouTube is more long form. Okay, so what we try and do is let's have the same piece of content, but then it has to live a different life depending on the platform that is. So I think the first approach is having a very net platform specific, platform native approach. Secondly, you mentioned about AI. So AI, again, with the search engine, we were more focused on keywords, optimization. With AI, it's a little bit more about answers and finding solutions. So our content is now kind of like the discovery phase of the content, or the upper funnel, as we like to call it, awareness phase, is a little bit more focused on the answers, more focused on giving solutions to the people. So that's the approach. We are focusing more on giving Q&A. So there are FAQs that are more focused on our website and elsewhere. Secondly, we sort of create content that are solution focused. So it's like, if I am traveling with a family in Bangkok, what are the things I can do? These are the questions coming up with AI. So if my content is built around answering these questions, that's what will help my appearance on these searches and traffic as a result of them. So like one of our properties, they created a video, and obviously the video with bartender kind of doing their gymnastics or their tricks are always popular, but I think we went beyond that. We went into the recipe of the cocktail. We showed people how to make it easily at home with the available ingredients or with just slight improvisations. We gave some tips on what to use instead of what. So like when bartender was kind of like your friend talking to you, giving you advice as if you are sitting in across him, I think that really kind of hit a nerve. So it really connected quite well with the audiences. And then what happened was that people were asking questions onto the video comments. They were asking questions around hey, can I use this instead of that ingredient? Or what kind of ice I need to use. So but then questions even went beyond that. Like people were asking that can I get this cocktail in another one of the hotel, where people were this video was shot in Bangkok, but then people from Philippines where we have our property, Singapore, they were asking, can we get this cocktail here? So it really gave us an opportunity. So it kind of like content not only engaged consumers, but it turned into actual bookings. People were visiting bars as a result of a video we thought was just good content. These are early days, so I will not pretend that I know everything about the AI optimization or generative optimization. I think what I can say is that we are experimenting with a lot of things, and as I mentioned, we sort of focusing more on helping answer the questions. So even like I attended a Google event not too long ago. This was in Bangkok, and the Google presenter said that 50% of their queries now are not simple keyword queries anymore. They are longer queries, multiple keywords. People are asking specific questions, or people are combining a lot of concepts. So I know like for example, how to go out for dining in Phuket with a family of 6, where the age groups are between 70 and 15. So those are the kind of questions being asked. And as we give something to people, their behavior and their expectations change. It's kind of like how Netflix changed the entire game in terms of streaming, where the recommendations are so easy to give out and people like the content. So in the same way, the AI is kind of changing the way people ask and expect from their search engine or from their requirements they're trying to fulfill on the internet. So what we are trying to do is we are building our content around these questions, and instead of just spreading awareness, instead of just focusing on keywords, what we are trying to do is let's be helpful. Instead of awareness, let's give solutions. Let's give recommendations. Let's be answer to their experience questions. So that's how we are changing the game. That's how we are adapting the content. And I think I would also emphasize that people get carried away because their website is their center of their world. But I think you have to also keep in mind that the content lives in many forms. Not website is one of the platforms, but don't ignore social media and everywhere else, because a lot of content discovery happens somewhere else. It can all come together on the website, but your AI may be learning from multiple places, and the more places you can put your content out, and that content is AI summarizable, that content is giving solutions, that content is giving answers, then I think that's what will help. Previously, we still do. Of course, we still do. We have pages for spa. We have pages for whether it is experiences, whether it is packages. We still have dedicated pages for those. But I think where we are sort of improvising is that on our common pages where we see a lot of traffic, we bring a lot of this content together. So we marry experiences and spa into one. Because we're already recommending people what can you do in the destination, what experiences you can have in the destination. So we put that content side by side or in the same recommendation. So it's a part of we're telling about the history of the Thai massage, for example. So we'll tell you, what is the most famous temple where this kind of training happens. But then in the same content we say, we also provide this particular therapy or this particular style of spa in our own spa. And here is the link from where you can find more information about it. And that's where there will be an option for them to book. Second part of your question is how to keep it fresh. Okay, so for this, I think we continuously keep an eye on trends. So we can see Google Trends, we see what kind of keywords are being searched, what is popping up. We can also see what kind of content is getting most engagement. Okay, so we read all these signals. We also do social listening. So we have tools that are continuously looking at what people are talking about our brands, our hotels, what kind of content, what kind of experiences are striking, are engaging with them. So we use all this information to then find to say, now next quarter, we are seeing that there are these three trends. These three trends mean that we need one new piece of content, and we need to rejig the way we are ordering our content on the website in this particular section. So that's how we try and keep the content fresh. This sort of happened in a slightly disjointed manner. We were introducing our loyalty rates on meta search, so where you can compare multiple websites rates, including our own, and people were coming to our website. When they came to our website, there was a requirement to log in before they can see the rates. So what we noticed was that after this, our bookings that we were getting from our loyalty rates kind of dropped quite significantly. So thankfully, we noticed it quite early on. So we looked at the data, we tried to experience the guest journey, and we realized that there is a friction point here where the rates that they are seeing on meta search are not immediately visible on the booking engine. There is a requirement for logging in, and that is introducing a bit of friction. So what we went and did was that, let's keep the requirement to log in or sign up as an afterthought, meaning that you can still see the rates, but you have an option to either log in or sign up after you have selected the rate. So we removed that requirement from in between, and that they immediately made the numbers go back up, and actually even higher than before, because now there was a lot less friction in moving from a rate they have seen to finally converting into booking. So I mean the answer is kind of all of this. So there are multiple tools being used, and I think not necessarily all tools have to do with systems and technology. I think sometimes we have to ask questions to the people. So if I break that down, I would say that okay, first is continuously looking at our conversion funnel. So we're looking at where we are generating the traffic from, how the traffic is behaving on our website, how is the traffic translating onto the booking engine, and whether that's converting. Every time we see a drop from any step, we say, okay, now this is a problem, this is a friction. How can we remove that friction? So even before we get to the booking website or the booking engine, the quality of traffic that we are generating, what platform we are generating from, and whether that's the right kind of traffic, we need to understand. So if the trend is more like if people like so for example, the White Lotus, the series, was very popular in Thailand, and that really exploded the number of searches. Now everybody don't want to go to Samui. We don't have a property in Samui, but if we capture some of the traffic and we show them that hey, we can give you an approximation of the same experience, but these are the properties. So we tapped into that trend, looking at what people were searching. Again, Google Trends, social listening, and then we feed some of our traffic data onto the AI for specific analysis. That gives us some insights into okay, we can craft around our campaigns, our performance marketing, ads, and our website content around these trends. And then that is what we put in front of the customer, and that is what then ends up converting. I would say like twofold. The biggest challenge is making use of the data. You can have all the data in the world, but how do you make it in a more digestible, usable, actionable format to the audience on the ground? Because my marketing team at the corporate has one view and one purpose for looking at the data. But somebody on the ground, somebody who's working in the front office at the property, has a completely different purpose. They want to know more about the guests, their specific needs, their behavior, how they can personalize their experience a bit better. For me, for my team at the corporate, it's a bit broader perspective. Like how can I maximize this? How can I get more of this audience? That sort of thing. So I think making use of the data is the biggest challenge. But secondly, like how the data is all spread across various platforms and systems, that's the second part of the challenge. So the way I try to deal with it, and I think I can say that there is like no all-in-one solution. But the way we try to deal with it is minimize the number of platforms that can use the data. So we have one single platform, for example, that looks after our CRM, loyalty, as well as app. So I minimize having to move my data across 3 systems, and I can get a lot of insights from my CRM system, which is already tapped into my app behavior as well as guest loyalty behavior. So all of that data I can expose to our hotel teams, and they can use that data person by person, guest by guest, to make the experience a bit better. What are you trying to do? As I said, you can try to shout at the top of your voice. You can just spread the awareness. You can put your brand out there in multiple. But the first thing you should be doing, and what we do, is I think try to understand the audience. Meaning that for each and every property and for each and every brand under Dusit, there is a specific audience. There is a specific target guest persona that we are reaching out to. So these are well defined for each brand, and then we fine tune it for each property. So then we know who we are talking to. Secondly, what kind of content will appeal to what brands or what properties. So we have a classic brand like Dusit Thani, which appeals to a slightly mature audience. So of course, the content that will be produced for them, the messaging there will be more subtle, a bit more classic. But then we have Dusit D2 brand, or we have an Asai, a bit more like lifestyle oriented brands. So this is where the content is more edgy. It's a bit more to aim towards like younger audience, younger demographics. But then the color scheme, the messaging there, like the motion in our content is quite different. So this is how what we try and do. And again, so it's like showing up to the audience at the right moment, but with the right message. Instead of just having a generic message all across. That's what we try and fine tune and do. And then scale it across the board. I think there is a tendency for most hotel companies to get too focused on their website or too focused on their booking engine, and they don't really see anything else. But you have to understand their audience is on Instagram, they are on TikTok, they are on search engine, they are in AI, they are on YouTube. Do you have presence on all of these platforms? But not only the presence, but do you also have the content in the native format of that particular platform? When all of these come together, that's when you have a powerful message out there. That's where you are hitting the right audience, and that's what's bringing the traffic. In fact, my team showed me the numbers this year, and I think what we have noticed is that the traffic on our website is gone up like 40% compared to last year. And that is thanks to all these strategies. Content is very heavy focus, but then performance marketing then kind of takes over the guest in the second part of their funnel, and then takes them all the way through to the booking engine. That's how we approach it. I'm a bit of a mixed traveler, so I like to kind of plan out the big framework. So my flights and my hotels are kind of fixed. I have a hazy idea about what my day is going to look like, but I don't pinpoint, okay, this is the exact activity or this is the exact restaurant that I'm going to go, which is something what I'll use AI. So like in my last trip to Hua Hin, which is around 2 hours from Bangkok, I kind of zeroed in on 3 restaurants, and I was too lazy to look at reviews for each and every one. I went to Gemini and I say, hey, like these 3 restaurants, look at the reviews. Here are my preferences, which one matches my style. Also look at my past reviews. And the Gemini one say, okay, here is the restaurant, here are the reasons, and that's how. So yes, I am kind of broadly, I do the broad things, but for a lot of things, I kind of leave it to spontaneity plus AI.